Hey there, let's jump right in with a pretty wild idea. What if your classroom board, the one you use every single day, wasn't just a place for scribbling notes? What if it could actually become a direct map of how your students' brains learn language? Sounds cool, right? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into. I love this quote from Brahim Salem. It really gets to the heart of what we're talking about. He calls it a neurological choreography. So this isn't just about neatly organizing notes. We're talking about syncing up with the brain's natural dance, the way it's already wired to pick up a new language. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the big idea, your board, the brain. Then we'll get into the specifics with the 4 brain zones. After that, we'll look at why this system actually works. We'll even add a cool layer of color coding to make it all pop. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the ultimate takeaway. Okay, section 1, your board, the brain. This is the big, powerful idea at the heart of everything. So the whole method, right? It's all built on this one really powerful connection, linking the physical space on your whiteboard to the cognitive space inside your students' heads. Just think about this for a second. What if every single time your students looked up at the board, they weren't just seeing information, they were seeing an organized model of how their own minds are processing language? That's a pretty revolutionary way to think about it, isn't it? All right, so how does this actually work in the classroom? Well, the whole system is built around these 4 distinct zones on your board. And here's the cool part. Each one is designed to mirror a specific language system that's already hardwired into the brain. Let's break them down. First up, we've got vocabulary. So this part of your board lines up with the brain's temporal lobes. You can think of these as the brain's mental dictionary. It's where all the semantic meaning gets stored. So get this, every time you jot down a new word in this zone, you are literally targeting the exact neural spot responsible for holding on to its meaning. How cool is that? Okay, next up is pronunciation. This zone maps directly to the auditory and motor cortex. And this is super important because it's a 2-for-1 deal. You're engaging the part of the brain that hears sounds and the part that tells your mouth how to move to make those sounds. So it's not just about listening, it's about speaking too. Then we have collocations. Those word pairs that just sound right together. This section is linked to the basal ganglia, which is all about procedural memory. It's basically the brain's autopilot. It's the same system that kicks in when you ride a bike without thinking. So this zone is all about building that automatic, fluent language. And last but not least, grammar. This zone fires up Broca's area, which is like the brain's powerful engine for all things syntax and structure. This is where your students get to grips with the rules, where they learn to consciously build sentences and really internalize those patterns. So let's make this super concrete with a classic example, make versus do. Look at how this plays out. In the vocabulary box, you just define them. Make is to create, do is to perform. Simple. In pronunciation, you've got the sounds. Now collocations, this is where it gets interesting. You list their friends. You make a decision, but you do homework. See? And finally, in the grammar zone, you show the rules, like how make can be used to make me laugh. It's the perfect illustration of how these 4 zones build a really deep, complete understanding. So this all sounds pretty logical, right? But what's the actual science saying? Let's get into the 4 key neurolinguistic reasons that make this thing so darn effective. Yep, there are 4 big ones, and each one tells us something really powerful about how our brains are literally designed to learn a language. So here's the breakdown. First, it mirrors how the brain actually works. Your brain doesn't just have one big language folder. It has different areas for different jobs, and this board setup reflects that. Second, it taps into what's called spatial encoding. Just by putting grammar in the same spot every single time, you're giving your students a powerful memory hook based on location. Third, it activates multiple memory systems all at once, for meaning, sound, patterns, and rules. It's a full brain workout. And fourth, it actually reflects the natural way we produce speech. The board becomes an external map of a totally internal process. It just makes sense. Now, if you want to take this already awesome brain-based approach and kick it up a notch, we're going to add color. And this isn't just about making your board look pretty. Trust me. Each color is picked for a very specific cognitive effect. So for vocabulary, we're going with yellow. Why? Well, psychologically, yellow is great for grabbing your focus and helping with recall. It basically gives a little jolt to the parts of the brain that are busy finding and retrieving words. Next, for pronunciation, we're using blue. Blue tends to have a calming effect, right? It can help lower a bit of that performance anxiety and actually improve auditory processing. That makes it pretty much perfect for that focused listening you need to nail new sounds.
And for collocations, let's go with green. Green makes you think of growth, of things fitting together, right? That aligns perfectly with the brain's knack for recognizing patterns and building that procedural automatic memory. It's all about helping those language chunks grow and connect.
Finally, for the grammar section, we're using red. Think about it. Red is an alert color. It's a stop sign. It signals to the brain, hey, pay attention here. It stimulates that analytical part of your brain and tells it to really focus on the rules and the structures. And there you have it all laid out. It's so elegant, isn't it? Every color is deliberately chosen to support the specific brain function for that zone. It's a complete system where everything, the location, the content, and now the color, is working in harmony to just supercharge the learning process. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. What is the one big, ultimate takeaway from organizing your board in this really specific, brain-friendly way? You know what? This quote just says it all. Your board stops being this passive thing you write on. It becomes an active, dynamic tool. It's a living map of how language is actually built inside the mind. You're taking this invisible, complex process and making it visible and understandable for your students every single day. So, that leaves us with one final question, and this one's for you. Now that you have this blueprint that connects what you do in the classroom directly to how the brain works, how will you use it to remap your classroom and build a more effective learning environment?